Dr. Erica Burks, and I am the Chief HR Officer for Be Professional Consultancy. I am going to have a pretty important discussion with you today, and that includes the misconceptions, stereotypes, or myths about HR and the role or contribution to the organization. So I am going to give you 5 of the fallacies that I hear, and then hopefully give you some truth to help you better understand your HR department or HR representative. So the first misconception or stereotype that the HR department has is that it manages the staff. No. HR does not manage the staff. HR encourages and empowers the leader to manage the staff. The purpose of HR in the organization is to pretty much provide resources to help optimize like performance within staff or other areas of the organization to maximize results and to help meet business goals. So on the contrary, HR does, let me be clear, HR does support the entire employee life cycle, but in that it means hire to fire. So if you partner with the the leader, and the leader says, hey, I have 2 positions opening, I need you to help me recruit. That's the hire. And then these employees, they're not working out, they're not performing well, they have behavior issues, whatever the case may be, then HR will step in and help facilitate the separation. So that's pretty much HR's role. We do not manage your employees. We want you to manage your employees. We do not have the bandwidth to manage your employees. The only time you will typically see an HR professional managing someone is when it's their own direct report. Okay, so that could be another HR professional or somebody in administration, but just giving you that as an example. Number 2, if you see HR, be afraid, be very afraid. That is also not true. Unfortunately, a lot of times people do not realize, or HR professionals don't realize, a certain employee exists, especially if you know, of course, unless you were there from day one and you recruited everybody, but work with me. You don't typically realize that they exist until you need to know that they exist. So that is typically brought on by an issue or question, and they need a solution. Those common issues will be paycheck, terminations, disciplinary action, or W-2s, which come January, an HR professional hates to see an employee coming that wants a W-2. We promise you, we want you to have your W-2 as well. We want our W-2. Bear with us, send us a little grace. But anyway, HR professionals are still human. And so you have to extend them some grace, because we don't know how to support you. Like, we are still here to be a support. We are here to be a resource. We have to know who we're supporting. So if, no HR person should be operating in isolation. The whole goal is to be a partner. We should be business partners. And so I don't know who I'm supporting if I only see them in transactional interactions. I am a strategist. So I like to know the demographic of people that I'm dealing with. Sometimes if I see a stumbling block constantly occurring in a specific place, then that allows me to go and say, okay, let me partner with the manager. We need to get some training and development going. Or the employees are giving me this feedback. We need to get this manager some training done so that he or she can better lead their staff. But when you go out into the field, I like to call it, then that basically just allows you to do rounding and assess your environment. Otherwise, if I'm only working with you from my office, then how in the world am I supposed to ever learn how you need me? And then I also want it to be known that I care, and that I want you to reach out, and that I am encouraging you to allow me to help you. But if I only wait for you to come to me, now granted, we can't reach everybody, but if I'm only waiting for you to come to me, then I am being given a disservice, or I'm doing myself a disservice, and then I'm also doing you a disservice as the employee. So again, HR can be a very thankless job, and it can also be a very lonely job. So just give kudos and credit to your HR professionals, your HR team, who are actively trying to engage you, especially when you see them coming around and there's no negative thing attached to it. I like to go and talk to my teams, my field staff, like we say, from the janitor to the C-suite, but also give you praises if you've done good. Like, for example, if we have, like, let's say the state comes in and does an evaluation and they go through and check to ensure compliance, and we don't have any violations, no negative dings, then of course I want to go and celebrate the staff. You did an awesome job. Why would we not want to acknowledge that? We have to be able to balance the negative with the positive. So I give credit where credit is due. HR professionals, I encourage you to do the same. Fully empower you to do that. Okay, next. HR is pro-organization and not the employee. This is also false. This is false because the HR is pro-organization and everything that is included in the organization, and that includes the employee. The whole goal is to make sure we are mitigating risks and we are helping to run the business to run smoothly and meet business needs. So, as the employee, you are affiliated with the business. When you have on your badge, you are representing the business and you're showing that you work here. This is the position that you've been hired into. So if there are any things, any endeavors, any moves that are being made, the employee is incorporated into that. So we 100% support the employee. We are not a respecter of person. So I really hate that a lot of employees have had these adverse experiences with their HR department where they feel like no matter what I do, they're going to go with the organization. The organization can be wrong too. And I shouldn't say the organization. Leaders can be wrong too. And a good HR professional will call them on that and understand just because you don't see it does not mean that it's not happening. There are a lot of leaders who will get frustrated. There have been leaders that have gotten frustrated with me in the past because they were not getting their way, or they wanted to terminate this employee, and I would say, I think that's a risk, I wouldn't recommend that. Or if they want to do demotions, or sometimes the manager wants to go and give a massive pay increase, and then we have to shoot it down, and that's their way of wanting to help retain their staff, which is a very good gesture. However, it's a business, so we can't just look at your department. If we do it for you, we have to do it for everybody else. I'm just using that as an example, but that's how it works. And so now I can't speak of when you are no longer with the organization, and again, the focus is on supporting the business, but while you are here, you are absolutely a priority. You are an equal stakeholder, in my opinion, and that's how I address everyone. I do not prioritize or favor one job title or seniority over the other. We work with each other differently, but you are also equally important, and I encourage you HR professionals to make sure that you operate within that. We are the HVAC systems to the organization, and I know some people may not know what that means, but for those who don't have homes or who are not familiar with an HVAC system in general, we are essential. And so I love when I get in organizations or when I partner with organizations who see us as essential, because we are. Because of the many roles that we play within the organization. Sometimes HR is a very thankless job, but at the same time, it's also equally rewarding. And so being able to connect with people and remind them of how valuable they are is essential, because I think in those small gestures, it shows them like, I see you too. Of course, I see the business, but I see you too. Number 4 is that HR is a policy piece. HR is just simply carrying out policies and rules and regulations that either are written by the law, federal, state, and local, or policies and compliance things that are established by the business. So I'll give you an example. So let's say you go to a store, right? And in the store, it says you cannot return an item after it was open. So you buy a toy for a child and they go to unbox it and it's broken. Now, granted, it was broken likely in transit or it could have been a fluke, but policy says that they can't accept a return. So some people will go off on the employee, and the employee is just simply upholding the policy. that they were told to abide by. Same thing with HR. So granted, we may help fine tune, or, like I said, we're here to mitigate risk and do what's in the best need for the business holistically, including staff. Remember that. But it will require some policies to be created that are not ideal, but there's a method to the madness, and it is a standard that has to be upheld. Ultimately, we create these things aside from mitigating risk because people sue, but also because we want to not be a respecter of person. We want to be consistent and we want to be fair. Now, the first thing, and I'm sure you all have heard this before, you see a coworker and they do something that you have either seen someone else or that you have experienced getting in trouble for or being reprimanded for the exact same thing. So what is the first thing you assume? You assume it's favoritism. I want to nip that in the bud as much as possible. So if everybody is getting the same thing, if everybody's having the same expectations set, if everybody's following the same rules and policies, then it's a lot easier to hold people accountable who are not abiding by these things. So sometimes we like to operate in black and white. That's not always realistic, unfortunately. And so there is some gray area. But what we do when we implement, or I shouldn't say we, when these policies are implemented and then when we as professionals carry them out, it is done with the best intent. You're not going to always like it. There are going to be some policies that are unideal to you, and then there may be some policies that are ideal to you that are not ideal to someone else. Everybody has a preference and everybody's perception is different, but this is exactly why we standardize these things. Dr. Ellison and I actually have a video on compliance that you should go read. But there's a reason why these things are established, and HR is simply enforcing it because that is our job. It's our job. Just like your job is your job, and you are simply doing what you were instructed to do. Falls within my job title. I am just trying to abide by my superior, which in a traditional setting, an HR officer could report to anyone from the CEO to the COO. And be professional, Dr. Ellison and I are counterparts, so she's the chief operating officer. We don't report to anyone because be professional, we collaborate collectively. Just throwing that out there. But we are not trying to make it difficult for you. We are just simply trying to make it standardized and keep it strictly business, nothing personal. Last but not least, HR is not trustworthy. So I can't speak for every HR person. I can only speak for me and be mindful of the integrity that I operate within. And so I don't want to negate anybody's personal experiences with their HR professional or department holistically, but I can say HR may not necessarily be your friend, but it's also not your enemy. We can be friendly, but the moment that you start making friendships, then there's always that perception of bias or favoritism. The same thing within your department, and it makes it a little more difficult to be able to say that we are being consistent and fair. Prime example, let's say you start a new job and you see that your coworker is always getting their time off requests approved by their manager, and they just so happen to be, you can tell they have a really good working relationship, and then you put in a time off request and it's denied. You may look at it, or the average person may look at it as favoritism, or they're only approving it, or they're always getting their way because they're friends. Whereas on the back end, from my perspective, it is, well, this person has more seniority. This person has time that they need to use or they will lose it. Or this person requested this time well in advance. You just don't know about it. And so, but from your scope, from your vantage point, it's favoritism because they're friends. Now, imagine if that was HR. There's already a bad rap for HR. There's already this bias, and people avoid us like the plague, unfortunately. But add that fact, let's say we were friendly and we did make all of these friendships, friends, not professional, good working relationships. There's going to be bias there, no matter what. And so our goal is to make the business run smoothly as possible, not to become best friends with people. And if you really stop and think about it and admit it, it's probably, not even probably, it's best that way. So let me give you an example. let's say you are a manager and you open the store every day, right? And you're running late and you don't tell your team. So now the store should have been open for an hour now. Your staff is sitting outside, the customers are sitting outside, the phones are ringing, and all of this chaos is happening because you're not present, right? Which means that you are essential in the function of the business. Your actions impact everyone that falls under you. So if you are on time, or if you don't show up, or if you do something, everyone who falls under you will be impacted by it directly, even down to the customer. Now, imagine HR. We don't just own relationships with people who roll under us, even if we have direct reports. We support the organization. Remember how I said everybody is included in the organization. It's not the business or the employee, the leader or the employee. So we own the relationships with supporting the organization as a whole. So if you need recruiting, if you need a market rate analysis to make sure we are being competitive with our competitors, if we need to redo our business or our retirement plans, whatever the case may be, understand we own a lot of these interactions, these day-to-day interactions. And so when you think of everything that we do, it is important to remember that we have to be accountable and we have to be present for everybody. We have to own that relationship with everyone. Just keep that in mind. So I do want to tell you, there's an article by Andrea Boatman, and she pretty much talks about the stereotypes that are affiliated with HR. And in those stereotypes, she mentions how it can be a cultural influence, media, or entertainment. And when you think about it, if you look at social media and you look up different videos or experiences for people with HR, you're going to hear a mixed review of things. But unfortunately, the negative always outweighs the positive. But if you really sit and listen, you realize that these are personal experiences, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have had similar experiences within their, with their HR department or representative. And so, you group all of those together, and majority rules, unfortunately. And then you hear the people who have really awesome experiences, but you don't really hear about that. But that's why I'm here. So hopefully I can change your perspective of HR. Now, of course, I'm always going to give you scripture before I leave. And before I head out, the scripture that I felt was most befitting was Matthew 5:16. And it says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." And I think that that is a key thing to keep in mind. In all things, you should do it with excellence. But more specifically, when you are doing your job and you are really exhibiting the expectation and the excellence and the integrity, all of the things that are required for your job, then you are being obedient and you are being the light that God has called us to be. So, professionals, I'm talking to my fellow HR professionals. Take the opportunity to really get to know who you support, really get to understand the business. And I'm not talking about a business plan or process or workforce planning, but actually go and engage the people that you are supporting. And I think when you do that and you take away the transactional relationships, it really makes a difference because it shows them that you care. If you have someone who is willing to go above and beyond for you, it is much appreciated. And a lot of times they show gratitude. While I know this is a very thankless job, trust me, I know, it is a very thankless job, but keep in mind why you do it. Remember your why and operate in that. If this is what you have been called to do, you will excel, but you have to do your part. You cannot. Unfortunately, you are in a field that has many more stereotypes than what I just outlined, but you have to do your part. You have to. Literally the livelihood of your organization is at stake. And we are already fighting against organizations who don't see the value in HR, who don't see us as strategic partners, and who don't want us there, quite frankly, but they know it's a part of the org structure. You're supposed to have HR. They really don't understand what all we do. But anyway, if you don't fight against that, things will never change. Nothing changes unless something changes. Now to my professionals, it is okay to engage your HR person before they reach out to you. There are many more of you than it is of them. So what I will encourage is get to know them, understand the different ways that you can work together, help build up that level of trust. Granted, I don't see anything wrong with having a good working relationship with HR professionals, but they just won't be your friends, at least in work. If you are friends outside of work, polar opposite. However, in work, I think you should have a really good working relationship. And another key thing that you can do to help is go back and tell your colleagues when you have these positive experiences with HR. It makes a difference. So when you can come back and speak positively about your HR professional or HR department, it may compel others to want to come forward and truly see them as a resource. Resources. But HR should not be the best kept secret. We shouldn't, because we're here for you and we work together. We partner to help keep this thing flowing, and it is really important that you also support us in that. We are only humans. We have degrees and experiences, not magic wands. And so just as much grace as you extend to the people in your field or the people that you partner with, please extend that grace to HR as well. We have bad days. We have good days. We have things that are going on externally. We have things that we are dealing with internally. You only see a small snippet of what we see as HR professionals, so just understand that we are also trying our best. We're trying to put on our brave face, and we are supporting hundreds and sometimes thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of people. And just give us some credit, give us some grace. And with that, professionals, I think I have talked to you much longer than I would have not liked to, but then maybe you would have liked for me to. But in all, professionals, just be safe, be blessed, and be professional.